Good evening, North Point family, and welcome to our Thursday video devotional. Today, our subject matter will be the good providence of God, the good providence of God. And to look at our subject today, I just want to look at two passages. First, Romans 8:28, and then Psalm 77, verse 12. So Romans 8, verse 28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. And then Psalm 77, verse 12. I will ponder all your works and meditate on your mighty deeds. What I want to do here this evening is really put those two passages together. Put Romans 8, verse 28, and Psalm 77, verse 12 together. Romans 8, 28 teaches us that all things work together for the good of those that believe on Jesus Christ, on those who God has called in and through his Son. So we can take stock in the fact that this virus even is under that umbrella of all things. All things God is using for the good of his people, to draw us closer to himself, to conform us more into the image of his Son. And really, I think what Psalm 77, verse 12 is meant to do, it is meant to help us to see that reality that Paul lays before us in Romans 8, to see and ponder that reality as it has already been played out in our lives in the past. The psalmist is telling us, ponder all of God's mighty works. Look at how God has cared for you in the past in every single situation he has placed you in, whether those situations are filled with anxiety, stress, sorrow, whatever it might be. Take inventory, take stock of your life, take stock of God's sweet providences that didn't seem so sweet at the time, but now, when that difficulty has been released and is gone, we are now able to look back and see that they were, in fact, very sweet indeed, as God carried us through them, taught us and instructed us in the ways of his word, and made us look more like his Son through them. So we are to hold on to that just general declaration from Paul that all things work out together for good, but it's not just something that we kind of let hang out there. It's something that we can actually see as we look at our own life, as we look at the history of God's providences, his sweet providence in and through our own lives, in and through our own personal history. I want to close this evening by reading for you what the Puritan John Flavel says about God's providence. John Flavel says this: there is not a more pleasant history than our own lives. If you would but sit down and review from the beginning what God has been to you and done for you, consider the special manifestations and outbreakings of his mercy, faithfulness, and love, and the conditions you have passed through. Let your thoughts dive as far as you can to the bottom, to plumb the depths of providence, and admire them, though we can't touch the bottom. Ponder the seasonableness of the mercies. Ponder his peculiar providence for you among others. This particular attention heightens the mercy and endears it even more to us. When a general calamity comes upon the world, and we are exempted by the favor of divine providence, and living under the shelter of his wings, how endearing are such providences. Every Christian should furnish himself out of his own stock of providential experiences. In other words, Romans 8:28 is not just a lofty saying that we give to ourselves to give us some sort of a false hope, even in the midst of despair. It's meant to draw us back to God's providence within our lives, how we see God has never failed us even in our sorrows of the past, and how he will not fail us in this sorrow. No, how he will use this sorrow for our good, because he works all things for the good of those who love him. God bless.